Oh, he's on video.
He's on video. Oh yeah. He's gonna put you on video too. He's got a spawn for
Okay, so, you know, I talk a lot about breathing, all right? And the reason I do that is because I've been studying it for about 35 years. And I've learned that it is the primary source of your energy and that you need to take care of it. And if you take care of it, it'll take care of you. What we have are pretty irrefutable statistics from our website. People have taken our tests over the years. We've had about 85,000 people take our breathing tests. We have breathing skills, and then they correlate with diagnosed illnesses. We find that the scores that good breathing scores have very few to no diagnosed illnesses. Bad breathing scores have a whole bunch of illnesses. That's it. We're just having people do this test, and we'll do one today. And how good are you? Okay, now how many diagnosed illnesses do you have? And they list them. And we've been doing that for years and years and years. And we've had 85,000 people do those tests. And so we've got pretty strong statistics. So what I've done is create programs around that. And I'm getting, every day, my theme is breath is life. Study the breath. For life. That means for living and for your whole life. I'm still learning stuff. You know, I'm still learning new things. The latest one was about self-control and breathing. What's the relationship between self-control and breathing? Scientific American just came out with a very interesting article, and I'm using the notes over here. It says 4-year-olds are better at avoiding instant gratification versus having it now became far more successful adults. It was their core strength, not an exercise of willpower. It was their core strength. What they're finding in self-control is that if you have to use self-control, that you kind of burn up some of that energy, and then when the next situation comes up, you don't have enough energy to handle it. And that's a lot what happens with self-control. And it needs a core strength. Well, your primary strength is your breathing. Your primary core energy is your breathing. How do you develop that? For core strength. How do you develop that? For the staying power of willpower. Or better said, maybe just to be able to do things because they maybe feel better. But what does feel better feel like? How many ways do we have our nervous system having been distorted for what we think is feel better? Or maybe less than painful. Maybe we've reduced the negative a little bit, and that gives us a signal that this is the direction to go, when in fact maybe it isn't. So, he said that several studies show that those who believed in unlimited willpower did worse than others. They did worse than others. You get all this, I mean, I think Tony Robbins is great. In fact, I've worked on some of his people. But there's a point when you've got 1,000 people in the room, you're going to enlighten a whole bunch of them, and they're going to have a lot of other people in the room say, wow, that's really possible. When in fact, it may not be for them, depending on how they're going about managing their energy. So it's really easy to get a few people jacked up in a room with that many people in it, you know, and Tony's really good at that, and he actually does an incredible amount of good. But there's a certain number of people that have these issues they don't even know about. Tony happens to be one of them. You listen to his voice. He's got a severe breathing block, and he does have trouble with that on numerous occasions. And he's still an incredible person. So what we want to do, what I want to do, is instill in people the understanding and the value of focusing on breathing. Focusing on it. Make it a study. Make it a part of you. And don't walk around, how am I breathing, how am I breathing? You know, being self-conscious about it, but just develop it in the proper way, and then let it be the wind beneath your wings. Let's do a test. All right, so please stand. All right, we're going to do the number count. That's the first test on the website. So I want you to all take a big, deep breath, and I'll demo first, and count up to as high a number as you can get to. So it's like this, and you're going to put your hands in front of you so you can hear yourself. So you take a big deep breath and you go. And so on. The record's 310. So, and you do it, just keep the number to yourself, and I'll give you the scores and what the implications are. All right, so this is, and I'll explain what this is about, why this number count is valid, because there's interesting clinical studies behind it. All right, so take a big deep breath and count up to as high a number as you can get on that one breath. You have to make some sound, but make as little sound as possible. Be stingy. We're looking for efficiency as well, but you have to make sound. Don't hold your breath and count. That's cheating. Okay, it's also delusional. Okay, so big deep breath and count up to as high as you can get to. If you get to 100, start over. I should have told her. Should have told her. All right. I want 85 to be a minimum. We're seeing that the statistical correlations show that about, well, you're up in the 80th percentile if you can get to 85. So that means that you are in the group that is in the top 15, 20% in terms of reporting diagnosed illnesses. So that's a minimum. Now this happens to be an exercise. So it's not just a test, it's an exercise. So the more you do it, the better you're going to get. Now it ties in, I think Grant may be the only one that understands this, but it ties into forced exhalation volume in 1 second, which is, okay, have a seat, which is the primary marker for how big your volume, breathing volume is. That's how they measure it, with 1 second, how much you can blow out in 1 second. FEV1, all right? So FEV1 measures efficiency and volume. So does the number count. Measures efficiency and volume. And what they discovered in the Framingham study, which lasted from 1951 to 1981, and it had 5,200 people in it, and it spun off 200 to 300 other clinical studies from that one. What they discovered was that you can anticipate when someone's going to die by their breathing volume. 20 years ahead of time, they were able to predict when someone was going to die. Now, I want to give some more clarity about that in that nutrition is important because nutrition builds your breathing. It's like building an office building. If you build it out of mud and sand, it's not going to last as long as you build it out of concrete and steel, right? So breathing, yes, but then how you develop it, how you use it. The architect designs the building, but then the builder has to build the thing. Does he do a good job? Or do the elevators get stuck in the middle? Or does the electricity crash? Or the air conditioning doesn't work? And all kind of bad things that occur because it was not put together properly. So we're talking about two aspects of breathing. We're talking about nutrition, and we're talking about how you develop the breathing. We're also talking about detoxification, how you begin to clean up. God knows we got 85,000 toxic chemicals in our environment we didn't have 100 years ago. 85,000. Yeah, and so our lungs build up and our bodies build up these toxins. And there's ways of eliminating these toxins. I specialize in breakthrough work, high intensity, fast results. That's largely because I've had most of my people come from out of the country or out of the state, and they come to me because nothing else has worked, and so they try me, and I'm where the buck stops. So I have 5, 6, 7 hour a day sessions with one person, and sometimes the person will come for 5, 6, 7 days. I did 40 hours with the last person who came from Australia. He'd had a severe lung disease, and it took him. He walked into the office out of the car like this, and he was out of breath in 50 feet, and he got stuck in a parade 11 days later in New York and walked for an hour and a half. So, I mean, I threw the book at him, everything you can think of. So, and that really gets me going. When I can make change like that with people, I like to make a lot of change very quickly. And then if they need a maintenance, then they can go where they need the maintenance. Because I'm usually not around, because they're usually far gone, or they're maybe I'm geographically undesirable for that. So I kind of steer them to people that I think would be good maintenance for them. And I've been in this business for 35 years. I got a pretty good idea who knows what they're doing and who doesn't. I'm very holistic alternative, by the way. I'm almost vehemently anti-drug. Except it is appropriate sometimes. So, self-esteem. I made a self-esteem tape 20 years ago. I thought this is really great, and it really does help, you know, but self-esteem is quite often the effect, not the cause. Something. So, meaning that you can have great self-esteem, and if you fail, your self-esteem is not going to be held up that well. And if you succeed, your self-esteem gets bigger, gets better by good stuff. Right? So self-esteem in and of itself is helpful, but it's also very vulnerable. So how do we develop the core energy, the core strength to just keep on going regardless of what happens? Regardless. And I say first pages, be ready for anything. You know, be ready for anything. And that's really what you have to do, especially if you're entrepreneurs. Now, ready for anything is not getting sick. How can that be? How can it possibly be that you don't get sick? I know a lot of people don't get sick. They're up in their 70s and 80s, you know, and they don't get sick. Study health. We have the illness model. We know the drug industry and how they study illness. So, but you want to study health. What are the good people doing? What are the healthy people doing? And do that. So, what, for me, it all boils down